Hello, welcome. This is a headphones moment. Please find a quiet place or a comfortable corner. This is a moment to dedicate some time to yourself and simply listen and to think about what you've heard. With revision and exams just around the corner, we're wishing you the very best of luck. We also wanted to share some encouragement and experience with you on some of the challenges we might face during this time of semester. We know that exams and graded assessment can result in unhelpful narratives of success and failure. These reductive ideas of success and failure can be inhibiting, both in our studies and in our lives, and they can have a significant impact on our well-being. We hope to reduce the fear of failure or mistakes at university and help our community to learn and grow together, knowing that it's not our setbacks that define us, but our growth through those setbacks and our next steps forward. Our university motto is ever to excel. It's important to note that the road to excelling is almost always one with many setbacks and failures, both large and small, and times where things simply just don't go to plan. Many of our student leaders and renowned academics have experienced this and will continue to do so throughout their careers.
I'm Akira O'Connor, and I'm a lecturer in the School of Psychology and Neuroscience. It's been a tough year. Every single one of us has reckoned with our health and our friends' and our family's health. To keep each other safe, we've sacrificed the old way of doing things for a new, less close, less personal way. We've faced months of frustration, of anxiety, and of loss. It's been hard. But throughout all of this, we've shown our strength in our actions. We've formed teams, we've raised our hands, and we've spoken up. We've shown our strength in our capacity to learn. Those tangible moments where your lecturer, tutor, or fellow student expresses an idea so well that it changes the atmosphere in the class. Those deeply personal moments where you succeed in your own struggle to understand something you've been wrestling with. Those intimate moments where you work with friends and classmates to pull each other up together. Those moments show us that we're going to be okay.
In exams and assessment, where we can challenge this unhelpful narrative of success and failure, we're then often freer to perform to the best of our ability. This growth mindset can help us to be open, to be curious, and to pursue the kind of intellectual risk-taking that defines our motto, ever to excel.
For me, making mistakes was a natural part of my learning when I was at university, both as a taught student and a research student. I recall when I was studying for my PhD that I'd spent about 7 months pursuing a method which I realised eventually was not going to work. I couldn't use any of that 7 months of work in my final thesis. The experience was humbling, as I was convinced I would be right if I worked at it hard enough. However, I learnt not just to accept the failure, but to treat it as a learning experience. Indeed, almost all of what I learnt during that 7 months was useful to me later on in my work, beyond my studies. I was pretty much captured by Billy Graham when he said, "Each life is made up of mistakes and learning, waiting and growing, practicing patience and being persistent. So don't let failures stop you in your tracks, but use them as a way to make progress instead."
I'm Donald McEwen. I work as the chaplain to the university. And over my 9 years here, I've seen a lot of students face a lot of pressure, especially at exam times. Part of my role is to help all of us see ourselves as more than exam doers, more than degree getters, but as whole human beings. Human beings are connected to ourselves and to others, to the whole universe. We're part of an ecology. Some people see ourselves as connected to the divine as well. And as human beings, we're in all sorts of relationships in which our characters emerge. And we have all sorts of commitments, for example, to politics, to the environment, to art, to sport, to music, to just hanging out with friends. When I meet graduates years down the line, they're really conscious of the mistakes they've made. But they say that's okay. They've realised down the line it's not the end of the world. In fact, many former students have discovered really amazing, surprising ways that the future has opened up for them, even after disappointing results. So exams matter, but they don't matter completely. There's so much more that's important and wonderful about our lives. So I suppose what I'm saying is a sense of perspective can really help you at this time.
Hello there, my name is Dr. Paula Miles, and I'm a senior lecturer in the School of Psychology and Neuroscience. Exams are stressful. They are difficult for many of us, and we don't want to put our bodies under any more pressure than they need to be. So we can positively impact our own well-being during the exam revision period by tackling our revision sensibly, by not thinking about revising as being something on its own, but instead building it into our normal routine around the other things that we need to do and enjoy to do on a daily basis. And if we can start to normalize revision and tackle it in a carefully considered way, then it will allow us to feel a little bit better during this time, which will ultimately positively impact on how successful our revision is.
During revision and exams, staying physically and mentally well should be an equal priority with learning well and excelling in our academic work. What's your wellbeing plan for revision and exams?
Make sure you establish study hours so that you have a defined start and finish time. Stick to your chosen hours and make sure you do take time to switch off at the end of the day. Establishing an overall routine that incorporates working hours can be helpful.
Times when I have performed at my best are times when I've put together a sensible revision schedule that consists of multiple short blocks of learning and studying spaced throughout the day, maybe an hour at a time, certainly no more than 2 hours.
You should take regular breaks from studying. Short, frequent breaks are more satisfactory than occasional, longer breaks. So ideally, try to take a 5 to 10 minute break after every 50 to 60 minutes of work.
For me, it was playing music and singing very loudly. It gave me the distraction and the complete break that I needed from my revision. The only issue was whether or not people could hear me singing, because I'm not a gifted singer. But it was a technique that worked for me to allow me to completely remove myself from the studying and give my mind, my body a true break before getting back to it again.
Take your lunch break away from your screen or books, and, if possible, away from your study desk or room altogether. Try to stick to the same times for meals and snacks each day.
You can incorporate desk exercises into your daily routine. Try to do some form of stretch or exercise every time you take a break. Have a look at our desk exercises and at the Saint Sport Stay Home, Stay Fit programme.
Maintaining social interaction is important so that you don't feel isolated, so do check in with your classmates or friends as you normally would and set up regular group chats at least once a week, such as virtual study groups or having coffee breaks or lunch online with others.
Our Centre for Educational Enhancement and Development, or SEED, provides learning development for students, including academic and study skills support.
You can book a study skills appointment with one of our experienced postgraduate tutors online. These are free and last up to an hour. Our tutors are happy to discuss strategies for working remotely.
If you have a quick study skills question that you don't think requires a full appointment, then you can also drop our tutors an email using the new Ask a Tutor service.
Are you worried about telling your tutor or lecturer that you're not quite understanding things or feeling behind?
Are you holding back that idea or opinion you have in class in case you don't get it quite right?
Check in with that tutor or lecturer during office hours to chat and find ways forward with them. Take that risk in class and share your thoughts. There is no downside in doing so.
My name's Chris Jones. I'm a professor in the School of English, and I came to St Andrews over 23 years ago as a PhD student. I remember my first year really clearly. I would meet my supervisor in this room with an enormous window that overlooked the castle ruins on the schools, and we'd talk about my thesis and the poetry that we were both interested in. The conversations seemed to go well enough, but every few weeks I would give him a piece of written work and it would come back covered in red ink. Almost all the available white space, it seemed to me, was covered in corrections to my work, pointing out things that were wrong with it that needed to be changed. So much so that I began to wonder if I should be here at all, whether I wasn't good enough, whether he thought I wasn't clever enough, that I would produce these drafts that needed so much revision and improvement. But the year went on, and in the summer I went to my first academic conference at the University of Toronto, and I met a Canadian professor there who was asking me how my work was going. And so I told him about the red ink, and he said to me, "Oh, you're so lucky." And I said, "How is that?" And he said, "Well, you're not a job of work to him. You're a labour of love." And that had never occurred to me before. But the amount of time it was taking this man, my supervisor, to write this amount of red work was an indication of not how little he thought of me, but perhaps whatever promise it was that he thought he saw in me, and that he was willing to give of his time to help me be my best self.
The most formal form of support that you can get through the university is definitely with student services and their professional counselors and well-being team that they have there. However, student services is not just for mental health, which is sometimes something that people forget, and they also have teams that deal with international advice, a disability team, money advice, as well as the very well-known well-being team. If you are looking for a less formal approach and just feeling like you're isolated and maybe need a bit of social interaction, definitely check out the Peer Support Network. You can self-refer to them by emailing peersupport@st.andrews.ac.uk to be matched with a peer so you can talk through what you're feeling, how you're doing, and just generally have some nice interaction with someone.
You will naturally want to work hard and do your best in all your assessments. Occasionally, the outcomes may not be as good as you might have wished. Remember that this is also part of the learning process. Look on it as an opportunity to identify potential problems and improve in the future. Students can ask for feedback on exam performance once results are released. Different schools will have different arrangements for this, so talk to your advisor of studies or module coordinators about the required process. When you discuss your performance with your lecturers, you can find out whether there was room for improvement in your exam technique and/or understanding of module content. You will be able to work to improve your performance in the next exam diet. If you have any concerns about how module outcomes may affect your studies, remember that you can contact your advisor of studies for guidance. They will be happy to discuss options and offer advice.
Thank you for listening and for dedicating time to yourself. Please look forward to the future, and please consider making time for a Be Well, Learn Well video.